Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we bring you the latest news, information and analysis on what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Today I'm going to talk about certain aspects of the BRICS that will probably be news to some of you and of interest to all of you. Basically, the BRICS members are among the world's largest producers of hydrocarbons, oil and gas. Countries like Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates have vast resources of both commodities and are major exporters of them. Russia has always been an exporter of its hydrocarbons, firstly as the Soviet Union, which it then put out to the other members of the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact. It's done most of its exporting of oil and gas via pipelines. Since the 1980s, Russia supplied oil and gas to Europe through numerous pipelines, including the Druzhba oil pipeline, which still functions today, Yamal Europe, the Ukraine transit system, Blue Stream, Turkish Stream, and then of course Nord Stream. It also built the longest pipeline in the world to transit gas to China via the Power of Siberia pipeline, with another one in the planning. They also have the Eastern Siberia Pacific Ocean pipeline, which transits a fair bit of Russia and takes oil into China. However, today I'm going to focus on the Nord Stream pipelines, as they are back in the headlines as the company Nord Stream is suing its insurers in London. So let's have a look at the background to Nord Stream and let's investigate the whole thing. I mean, basically Nord Stream was conceived in the middle part of the early 21st century, basically because of the problems that occurred with the transit of Russian pipeline gas to Europe via the Ukraine. This transit was interrupted in 2006 and again in 2008. It was then that an initiative was put forward by, funnily enough, it was the German side that by that time was a very large consumer of Russian gas coming via the Ukraine and the Yamal Europe pipelines. And it was conceived as a way to get uninterrupted and secure transit of gas direct from Russia to Germany under the Baltic Sea. Now, you only have to look at who was behind this pipeline, who was the instigators basically. And the major instigator was the former Chancellor of Germany and the architect of the German export-led industrial economy, who actually became chairman of the new company called Nord Stream. And so it was a European driven project to benefit them. Yeah, Russia would sell its gas, but Europe would get its gas in a more efficient way, an environmentally friendly way to receive its gas supplies. Now, Nord Stream itself, AG, was set up in Zug in Switzerland as an international consortium of 5 major companies. It was actually formed in 2007, and they actually put into operation two 1,224 kilometre pipelines through the Baltic Sea from Russia to Germany. Direct, no intermediaries, no transit countries, just that. Now, the shareholders in Nord Stream are still, although the company is no longer functioning, they still have the shareholders because they still are fighting a number of legal battles. Gazprom with 51%, the German Wintershall Dea and the other German major, E.ON, have 15.5% each. The Dutch Gasunie and the French Engie have 9% each. So it's only half a Russian project, if you like, with the others being major European, French, Dutch and German. Now, the two pipelines became operational in 2011 and they transported around 55 billion cubic meters of gas per year, which was around 30% of what Europe was consuming at the time. The remainder of the gas came through the Yamal Europe, through Belarus and Poland, via the Ukraine, and later via Turk Stream, which went across the Black Sea. Now, the funding for this project came mainly from the shareholders, as in the Germans, French, Dutch, and from commercial banks in Europe. And the total cost of the project was around 10 billion. Now, the pipeline runs from Vyborg, which is in near Leningrad on Russia's Baltic coast, to Greifswald, which is in Germany, and links directly into the European gas transmission system. Now, this then links into the Opal pipeline, which transits across Germany all the way down to Baumgarten in Austria, and it delivers gas to various parts of Europe, including France, the Netherlands, obviously Austria, but also to the Czech Republic and others. The pipeline was so successful that commercially and environmentally that a second pipeline was commissioned to double the volume of gas and built along the same route. This was Nord Stream 2. It was commissioned in 2015, and all the various planning permissions, etc. It started to be constructed in 2018. Up until this time, the Nord Stream pipelines were not considered political and purely economic projects. However, this then began to change, and the construction was going very, very well. But this problem started to arise as Russia was by this point under economic sanctions, both from the US and the EU over the sanctions in Ukraine. And the US, EU were concerned about the Ukraine losing the volume of revenue it received from the transit of Russian gas. Something it actually still gets, because every single day currently Ukraine transits around 40 million cubic meters of gas into Europe, which mainly goes to southern Europe, Hungary, Austria, etc. Now, at this point, the shale gas exporters of LNG had become major players in the gas world, and the US was obviously eyeing up the European market. However, it couldn't compete with Russian pipeline gas, mainly because of its price and its easy availability, plus the fact that there were not the particular regasification systems available in Europe for LNG. However, this is not really something that would change. However, without Nord Stream being in the way, then the market would then be open for the US LNG. Now, in 2020, the US and the EU started to ramp up their whole attack on Russian gas. The Swiss company Allseas, which was laying the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, came under sanctions, and it left the project before it was completed. Nord Stream then hired a Russian vessel to complete the project, which it was able to do so. However, the German government refused to grant a license and permission for the pipeline to operate, unless it set up a German operating company, which was in the pipeline, if you'll pardon the pun, when various other problems occurred. Nord Stream original pipeline, its turbines needed repair, and these were supplied by Siemens. Now, it was a Siemens subsidiary in Canada that provided the maintenance and upgrade of these, and it was duly sent there, and again under sanctions. Whether it would come back or not was again worked on. So it was clear that now that Nord Stream 1 and 2 were now very, very political. And the US President Biden at this point, and various other politicians, that if the situation in the Ukraine escalated, they would stop the Nord Stream pipeline. Now, this escalation, as we all aware, occurred in February 2022, and then in September 22 there was a big explosion and the pipelines just boom. And probably the biggest piece of industrial sabotage ever occurred in the Baltic Sea. The emissions of gas and so CO2, etc., were probably the largest in history. Now, let's bear in mind that these pipelines are laid at a depth of 90 meters on the seabed. Now, they are made with a concrete weighted coating, and each section weighs around 24 tons. These pipes are designed to withstand the seabed pressure and various other hazards that can occur at any level on the seabed. And just going down to inspect them needs specialists with deep sea training and specialist equipment. This is something that no scuba diver could do. The average diver cannot dive safely below 30 meters. So anybody who says that this was done by interested amateurs is just not credible. Now, to cause the level of damage, you really need to get people who are using very specialized equipment, used to diving in deep sea operations, with a serious knowledge of explosives that work in extreme conditions. Now, we're not talking about a small packet of Semtex here and a timer, but a very, very sophisticated explosive device with timers, etc., and planted by experts. Blowing up concrete weighted and coated steel is just very, very difficult to do on land, never mind at deep sea pressure. So there's probably only 3 countries in the world that have this sort of knowledge, right? And to be honest, all 3 of them are members of NATO. Now, let's look at who benefits from the destruction of the Nord Stream pipelines. Well, the US LNG companies, as they've actively largely replaced Russian pipeline gas to Europe, at very great cost to Europe itself. It's not the European consumers who now pay vastly much higher energy bills. It's not the Russians who have now had to orientate their gas to other markets. Now, the Swedes and the Danes have carried out investigations into what happened, and they've not published their reports. They've just said they've no idea who did it and why. Germany has said nothing, even though they are the main country affected by the sabotage of their energy supply and infrastructure. I'll leave you to ponder on who was behind the blowing up of the Nord Stream line. But I do know for one, it was not the Russians or the Ukrainians. So, hopefully you've enjoyed this short video, and if you want to find out more information, there's a number of articles that I've published on our website, SCO BRICS.com, and please like and subscribe, and please leave comments under this. I'll be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any questions regarding Nord Stream, the pipelines, and who I think did it. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you.